Good morning. Sylvie's here.
Boldman's here.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Hi. Hello. Hello. Maida Coleman here.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Kenny's here.
Good morning,
Good
Commissioner.
Good morning.
I think we are just waiting on Commissioner Roop, unless he is yet to speak up.
Roop's here.
All right. Well, we can go right at 9:45 then. All right. It is 9:45 and all commissioners are in attendance, so we will go ahead and call to order the agenda meeting for September 2nd, 2020 of the Public Service Commission. Due to COVID-19, the Commission will continue conducting agendas via WebEx for the foreseeable future, and I would ask all those participating, please mute your phone unless you need to speak. First up is the approval of minutes from August 26, 2020. You've seen those. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from August 26th, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those minutes are approved 5-0. We also had closed minutes from that same day. You all have seen those. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the closed minutes from August 26th, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The closed minutes are also approved 5-0. We have two tariffs, new orders today. We have one brief other discussion and one partial case discussion. So we'll go ahead and get started with tariffs and new orders. First up is file number EE 2021-0051. This is in the matter of the application of Union Electric Company, DBA Ameren, Missouri, for approval of a variance regarding the timing of its triennial decommissioning filing required by 20 CSR 4240-20.070 sub 4 for the Callaway Energy Center. Ameren, Missouri is requesting a waiver from the rule required September 1st deadline for filing cost estimates for the decommissioning of the Callaway Energy Center. The company is requesting a 4-month extension to December 31st of 2020 due to delays in getting the cost study completed. The consulting firm that's performing the study is located in New Orleans and has experienced complications from COVID, as well as tropical storm-related power and internet outages. So staff was directed to submit a recommendation, and a deadline was set for parties wishing to file responses. Staff recommends that the waiver be granted. No other responses were received. I support this order granting the waiver of the deadline and directing the company to file their cost estimate by the end of the year. So I recommend that we approve this order as drafted, version 1. Commissioner Kinney?
I'm in support of the order.
Commissioner Roop?
I am supporting the order.
Commissioner Coleman,
I support the order.
and Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted, version 1, say aye.
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 That order is approved 5-0. Final order
I think
is
it was 5.5-0.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was gonna know if it was 5.5 or 6, but that order is approved. So next is file number GE 2020-0295. This is in the matter of the request of Spire Missouri Inc., DBA Spire, for a waiver from Commission Rule 20, CSR 4240-40.030, sub 13, sub BB. Spire is requesting a waiver of the subsection of the Commission Rule requiring farm tap inspections and to instead perform the inspections as part of its distribution integrity management program. This commission safety requirement matches federal PHMSA regulations. And last year, PHMSA essentially authorized operators the option to include farm tap inspections under their distribution integrity management program instead of the separate regulatory requirements. So Spire is essentially requesting to use the farm tap inspection process that is currently allowed under federal guidance. Staff reviewed the request. Since this would potentially be a waiver from a federal safety requirement, staff shared Spire's application request with PHMSA, and staff has recommended that the waiver request be granted for as long as PHMSA is allowing the use of the distribution integrity management program and that Spire agree to certain conditions. Some of those conditions include Spire continuing to perform surveillance of farm taps that are part of its facilities, and that Spire provide quarterly reports concerning pressure, failures, and leaks on their farm taps. So I recommend that we approve this order as drafted, version 2. Commissioner Kinney?
I am in support of the order.
Commissioner Roop?
I am supporting the order.
Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted, version 2, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That order is approved 5-0. Next up, we'll get into the case discussion. And again, this will be a partial case discussion, but we do have a post-hearing discussion on EX 2020-0006, post-hearing memo provided by Judge Clark. Judge, are you on the line to introduce this discussion?
I am, Commissioner.
right.
This involves the Governor's Executive Order 1703 that streamlines the Commission's rules as well as other state rules. And this was undertaken as part of that. As part of that, this rescinds the requirements for electric utility cogeneration tariff filing that were contained in 20 CSR 4240-3.155 and moves those into Chapter 20. And it makes amendments to Chapter 20 to 20 CSR 4240-20.060 cogeneration and small power production, and 20 CSR 4240-20.065 net metering. Now, as kind of what happened was there was a hearing on the 11th, which the Commission took oral comments from some of the interested parties. There was a filing deadline for written comments of July 31st, and there were a number of written comments received. I have put out this memo to request the Commission's guidance in regards to certain comments that were made by some of the parties that involve potential changes to these amendments or things to consider. Among those is a threshold issue. On July 16th, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission issued an order, I believe 872, that updates the Public Utility Regulatory Policies Act of 1978. And several of the parties expressed concern that this may impact these rules over the long haul. Now, as of yet, that is not fully codified into law, as there are still challenges that could occur in regard to that. So that's essentially where we are.
Okay.
So as a threshold question, I guess the question that first comes up, and you'll see, is does the Commission wish to proceed with this rulemaking?
Great. Thank you for that introduction. And that is the first question. I think that we should continue. So yes, I know that the summer FERC had updates to the PURPA, and some wanted to see if staff and other stakeholders submitted continuing with the rulemaking docket in light of those potential federal changes. Staff pointed out that the federal rulemaking process could take years, and there's still potential for appeals. So they support continuing the rule process and the amendments. Considering those amendments. So I think that it's wise to continue at this time. Commissioner Kinney
I would agree that we should proceed.
and Commissioner Roop.
I also in agreement that we should proceed.
Commissioner Coleman.
I agree with proceeding.
All right, and Commissioner Holzman.
I support the chairman's position.
All right. So that being said, I think there are still some comments and issues that some of us would like to consider for review. So we're just going to go through the first 11 questions today of the judge's memo, and we'll finish it up next week. So the first few questions concern the definitions in section 20.060 sub 1 of the rule on cogeneration and small power production. The proposed amendment keeps the definition of avoided cost and removes some other definitions, since section 1 says the terms in PURPA regulations will have the same meanings in the rule. So for the questions concerning those definitions and what should be included, I think we can look at 2, 3, and 4 of the judge's memo kind of together. And I don't think that there's a need to keep the definitions for avoided cost, fuel cost, and capacity costs, since section 1 already states that those will be the same as they are in PURPA. So 2, yes, I think we should remove avoided costs because it's in the same, because it's going to be in the PURPA rules. 3, remove for the same reasons. And 4, same thing. So I think that we should remove them to keep them consistent with what the federal PURPA definitions are. Commissioner Kinney?
I agree with you, 2, 3, and 4. They should be removed. They do virtually the same.
Okay. Commissioner Roop?
Yes, I'm in agreement as well.
Commissioner Coleman?
I am in agreement as well.
And Commissioner Holzman?
I support the chairman's position.
All right. So that brings us to question 5. Does the commission wish to add definitions for time of delivery rates and time of obligation rates to this section as D and or E? I don't think so. So no, I don't see the need to add time of delivery rates and time of obligation rates, primarily because they're not actually used anywhere else in the rule. So I don't think that those definitions need to be in there. Commissioner Kinney?
Yeah, this goes against allocated costs, so I would agree with you, Mr. Chairman. It does not need to be in there.
Commissioner Roop?
I agree as well.
Commissioner Coleman?
I agree with your comments, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Holzman?
I agree as well.
All right. All right. So now on to question 6. Does the commission wish to add the definition for qualifying facility back into the section? I think we should. I agree with OPC that if it's used in other sections of the rule and there is no other definition in PURPA which defines qualifying facility, we should keep the definition in that references to cogeneration facility or small power production facility under FERC regulations. And with that, 6A, I agree with OPC to keep the definition of rate in that definition section. Commissioner Kinney?
I would disagree with you. I don't think a qualifying facility is in PURPA, so I don't think we need to define it.
Okay. Commissioner Roop?
I would agree with your position, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Coleman?
As do I agree with your position, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Holzman?
I support the chairman's position.
All right, so that gets us to question 7. I think we can take 7, 8, and 9 together. They deal with proposed amendments to section 20.060 sub 2. The utility suggests keeping paragraphs 4 and 6 under subsection C and subsection E. And I know that these issues can be addressed in contracts, but I support keeping the portions of the paragraphs and the subsections in the rule since they relate to safety and reliability. And I don't think any other stakeholders opposed that request, so I would say that we keep them. So yes to 7, 8, and 9. Commissioner Kinney?
I concur.
Commissioner Roop?
Yes, I agree. We should leave these sections in.
Commissioner Coleman?
I agree also.
And Commissioner Holzman?
I agree as well.
All right, so that brings us to question 10. Does the commission wish to delete 20.060 sub 3 and instead cite to 18 CFR 292.303? I would say no. I think we should keep it in. And while the language in the CFR is nearly identical, this section includes references to other portions of our rules, like sub 5, sub D4. And while the rule references to other sections of federal regulations, I think it would be more clear what the guidelines are and the requirements if this section remains. So I would say no. Commissioner Kinney?
I see it's nearly identical to the federal laws or rules, so, but I'm really neutral on it, so I don't have a position, so I'm fine with keeping it in.
Okay. Commissioner Roop?
I agree with your position, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Coleman?
I agree also. Good to keep in. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Holzman?
I support the chairman's position.
All right. Thank you. That brings us to question 11. There's 2 subparts of question 11. So on 11, A, whether the standard contracts are utility specific, I would say yes. Each utility would perform their own technical review and submit standard templates for commission approval. And will they need to have separate contracts for solar, wind, and cogeneration? I would say no. I don't think they need to require in the rule language for separate generation resource templates. I think that the proposed rule contemplates submitting proposed standard contract templates. So I guess it would be possible for utilities to propose separating them based on generation source, but I don't think it needs to necessarily be in the rule that way. So I would say yes on A and no on B. Commissioner Kinney?
I agree with you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Roop?
I am in agreement as well.
Commissioner Coleman?
I agree with you, Mr. Chairman.
And Commissioner Holzman?
I agree.
All right, so that gets us through the first 11. We'll go ahead and end case discussion there, pick up the rest of it for next week. Gives us all a little bit more time to digest some of the more complicated issues in the rest of that docket. So we do have another discussion today. This is a summary of electrical and natural gas safety events that have been reported to the commission. I understand Natel or Kathleen are going to present this. So,
good morning, Mr. Chairman. My name is Chuck Poston, and I am a staff engineer.
okay. Welcome, Chuck.
As you said, this should have been a packet that the commissioners received last week, containing information on electrical contact and accident reports and natural gas pipeline incident data for the first half of calendar year 2020. I will give you an update. Since that packet went out, there has been one additional electrical event received by staff in which 2 utility workers were injured. At this time, we're still waiting on a follow-up 10-day report from the utility. But now Kathleen McNellis and I are available if there are any questions. or discussion you'd like to have.
Okay, thank you for that. Commissioners, does anyone wish to ask questions or have any discussion about this report? Does not sound like it. So thank you for the presentation and for the report. As always, it's valuable to have this information. So thank you for that. All right, that concludes other discussions. So we will look to upcoming scheduling. Monday, obviously, is Labor Day, so that will be a state holiday. Wednesday, September 9th, we currently have agenda scheduled at 10:15 a.m. We may have a conflict around 10 on Wednesday. And with Monday being a holiday, would any commissioners object to moving that to Thursday, the 10th? If there's no objection.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh,
Mr.
yes.
Chairman, it
Commissioner
just depends. It depends what time. I've got a medical procedure that morning that may last a couple hours.
Okay. Would you suggest a time, or should we maybe consider Friday?
Either that or maybe 1 o'clock and at 1 p.m. would work, I'm sure.
Okay. Yeah. If you're confident that that works for you, we can do 1 p.m. on Thursday.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we'll have that at 1 p.m. on Thursday. Wednesday, September 16th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Wednesday, September 23rd, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Thursday, September 24th, we have an evidentiary hearing in EC 2020-0252. That's Edwards v. Evergy, Missouri West at 9 a.m. in room 310. Judge Jacobs presiding. The hearing is in person, although some participants may be joining via WebEx. Wednesday, September 30th, we have agenda at 10:15 a.m. Wednesday, September 30th through Thursday, October 1st, we also have an evidentiary hearing in EU 2020-0350. That's Evergy's application for AAO related to COVID-19 related expenses. That's at 9 a.m. in room 310 with Judge Jacobs presiding. Wednesday, October 7th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. and Wednesday, October 14th, agenda at 10:15 a.m. Any questions, comments, or requests regarding scheduling through October 14th? All right, hearing none. Thank you, commissioners. That concludes our business for today. So we will reconvene next week.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
Thanks, guys.